we wanted to, because Andy, as you know, not only are you one of the titans of the comedy industry, you're also very well known for being repeatedly hired over now multiple decades to assess the state of comedy as an industry itself. And so who better to assess the quality of jokes that Stephen Moore, the now pulled nominee for the Fed, the jokes that he's told over the years, because he went on, Tucker Carlson was just talking about how everything he said was jokes, and then some stuff was sort of stupid. That
was Bubba the love sponge? Was Bubba the love sponge on there?
But let's hear one of these classic jokes that, you know,
in the movie version, in the hacky movie version, I'm familiar enough with Bubba through Howard Stern that I actually could see Stephen Moore make like an earnings crack, and Bubba just be like, "Hey man, it's 2008."
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
All right, so here is Stephen Moore. We played this clip earlier in the week, but it bears repeating because it's pretty stunning. I want to remind people, Stephen Moore is not just the guy who's not going to be on the Fed. He was on the Wall Street Journal op-ed board. He has been hired by the Heritage Foundation multiple times. I think he's done passes through there.
CNN.
He's the president of the Club for Growth, everybody.
No,
please don't forget that.
He's not. He was working with Grover Norquist, who's the Club for Growth. Maybe he was.
Oh, okay.
He was a top advisor to Sam Brownback, along with Arthur Laffer in the Kansas disaster. This guy has had a really incredibly oversized impact on our politics over the past couple of decades.
He co-founded and served.
He's been on TV since the 80s. Yeah. I've watched him.
He co-founded and served as president of the Club for Growth from 1999 to 2004.
Oh, there you go.
And that was the days when it was a real organization. Even more than that, Edward Haas, that guy Haas and his Council of Economic.
Right, and does this guy even have any credentials as an economic scholar? I mean, no. But here he is, ostensibly, and they're making it about like the liberals took me down, right? Like as opposed to like the liberals don't have the ability to take anybody down. Right?
He has a master's in economics from George Mason University.
Boom. All right, so there you go. And here he is on the firing line, which is, of course, that longtime liberal institution, the firing line.
Another statement that keeps coming to light is a joke you made about the Obamas. Just after the election, here, I'll play it.
By the way, did you see that there's that great cartoon going along, that the New York Times headline, first thing Donald Trump does as president is kick a black family out of public housing, and it has Obama leaving the White House. I mean, I just love that one. It's just a great one.
So, that is
oh my God, he did sell it well.
He wasn't even, you know what I love about though, is he's such a like weirdo that he wasn't even properly enjoying his own horrible, like he's just, I just love that.
No,
one.
he knew where he could tell.
Maybe he recognized midway through it that
said it. I think that's what he was doing. He's like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?
No, I don't think that's what it is. I mean, what's amazing?
You're right. I'm wrong. I think you're right about that.
What's amazing is
he's not that self-aware.
He's not telling a joke. He's telling about a joke. He's not saying like, I'm not, it's like I'm not acting out Star Wars for you. I'm telling you I love the movie. And that's all he's saying. He's like, I love that joke. He's not even telling the joke. He's saying, I love that joke. And here's the joke I love. I mean, and so here's how he explains it though, which is even worse on some level as he tries to explain it away.
And it has Obama leaving the White House. I mean, I just love that one. It's just a great one.
So, that is a joke I always made about, Obama lives in, the president lives in public housing. But I didn't mean it like a black person did. I just meant that, being in the White House, for example, when I was working with a lot of women and families who were involved in the education voucher program, here in D.C., and people would say, well, and these were blacks who would say, why does Barack Obama get to send his kids to any school that he wants to and we can't? And they say he lives in public housing, and it was just kind of a joke. And
pause it, but let's go back to the original joke where it says kicks out a black family. And why does Stephen Moore say, and they were blacks? themselves who said that it was okay to say this.
Do you think he's too dumb to understand that the original joke was a joke at Trump's expense, and that's why he's having so much trouble explaining it?
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, maybe it was a. It was
No,
a,
I think it's not a Republican joke.
it's
Oh,
a
no,
Republican
the
right?
joke.
origins, the first
They're
version.
proud of that part.
But no, Jamie's. I told you the first, at least the first version of this joke was the roast of Donald Trump, and Snoop Dogg
tell it to me
said.
like they.
Snoop
I
Dogg
thought it
said,
was
"Oh,
like,
you should run for president. It
oh,
wouldn't be the
okay.
first time you ran a black family out of their home." So it was
As
actually
a reference to the many times
yeah, it
that
was
he's
a
actually
reference.
done that.
No, it was literally he
Oh,
was
so
joking
he was
about
just
him being a
celebrating
racist.
it. He was so
landlord.
excited that. Yeah, I totally missed that part. I thought he was. I
Well,
thought
no,
they would
but-
say, "Hey, we got a black guy out of public housing. Isn't that fantastic?"
Well, no,
Who's
but that's
with
the
me?
thing is that it was a joke that was originally written to embarrass Trump. And then they realized, wait a second, we got nothing to be embarrassed about. We're talking about
is a
kicking out black people
Yeah.
from their homes.
He's a black guy in public housing.
Right,
This is amazing.
This is great. That's what's so.
Wait,
That's
we
why.
kicked a black family out of their home. Where is the bad?
That's why Stephen Moore is like. That's one I really like. It's really good. That's why I like that because it's one that they think that we would be embarrassed about, but now we're in power, so it's great.
He used to laugh maniacally. I don't know if he still does that. He would laugh maniacally in between whatever point he was making. So he's always been. I don't know. There's something. I think there's something a little bit off about that guy.
Well, let's go. This is the second part of this.
And
It's
what I was
so
trying to say was
fantastic.
that there were other people that there was something a little bit off. It wasn't really a joke about him.
Yeah, it was
Think
just,
of that. I was saying that there are people that are off, and actually I was trying to say that maybe he could do his TV hits better, and I could help him.
I think to be fair, if we had more footage of him at that Republican function where he repeats that joke, he would say, and the reason why I think it's so great is because I've worked with some blacks in the charter voucher program, and they would make a similar joke. And my point is that we're all the same, folks. And
Those black pro voucher jokes that started with, "Hey, it's hilarious that Donald Trump, a white supremacist, took over Barack Obama after Barack Obama's presidency." And you know what really grinds my gear? The fact that I can't get a scam voucher to send my kids to a religious school.
Not to mention-
classic humor you pick up in the commissary.
right,
with your
Barack
black
Obama,
colleagues.
not even American, right? Am I right? I know it's great how it brings us together.
It's not even a joke if it's just something that you're doing, right?
Exactly. All right, let's hear. There's more. There's more.
I still think he would have been good on the Federal Reserve, though, right?
And they say he lives in public housing, and it was just kind of a joke, and that was
The optics, though,
Oh, you
the
bet.
conservative white man
Yeah.
talking about kicking a black man out of public
Right,
housing
right.
have a particular
Right.
resonance, especially in this moment.
Yeah. So I shouldn't have said it. Again, you can find, you go back 30 years, you're going to be able to find clips over and over and over again about me. I have a long paper trail. I mean, there's no question about it. And
Pause it. I love the fact that he says, like, look, you could go back 30 years. Now, that clip you just played, that was 18 months ago. But
So good.
30 years ago, you could see clips of me basically, wearing a hood. I mean, if he really wanted to. We go.
over and over and over again about me. I have a long paper trail. I mean, there's no question about it. And I say things that are kind of jokes that if people want to pick them apart, then I probably won't, get on the Federal Reserve Board.
That turns out to be very,
Hey, don't
very
give up.
accurate. Now, Andy, come on. Now,
Don't give up, Stephen. Come on, stay in there and fight. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be on the board. Maybe.
That was the most astute, as a guy who's supposed to be an economics forecaster, that was the most prescient of anything he's ever said. I've made a lot of really racist jokes, and maybe I'm not going to go to the board.
I want to make some distinction here, Andy, and this is actually sort of, I don't want to bring this conversation and make it too serious, but there seems to me society should have a different standard. There should be a qualitative difference between writing a joke, right, as a comedian, and it being like crossing the line, or it being an attempt at humor that goes awry and it is problematic in some way. And I'm not saying that one should get a pass for that, or repeating a racist joke and then getting away with saying it was just a joke. I mean, if you're not a comedian or in the act of like trying to write and deliver comedy, I don't think you should get away with it was a joke. It's a racist joke that you're repeating because it's a racist joke.
In fact, you should
not like I made a joke that turned out to be a bad joke.
Are you saying, because I actually agree, way more room to make a mistake if you're actually trying to formulate a joke yourself?
Yes, that's what
right.
I'm saying.
Yeah, right. That's such a
That's
good
what I'm saying.
point. It was like, no. I just repeated a tired racist joke that somebody else said. I wasn't part of the creative process at all. I just heard a terrible thing and repeated it.
I just had time to absorb why it was funny, to know the circles in which I would retell that joke over and over again. And then I repeated it and someone overheard me say it. I shouldn't be held. It was just a joke.
Not to mention they appropriated an anti-racist joke and made it a racist joke.
To be fair, I don't think Stephen Moore realized that.
They even fooled me, and I'm one of the top comics in the biz.
I mean, it's one thing if like you make a joke that you think is going to be funny and it turns out like, oh, I was insensitive, it's racist and this and that.
Misplayed
I have
it.
time to reflect on it and this and that. I mean, I'm not saying you should get a free pass for that. I mean, every now and then if you do, but the idea of
let
like
me tell you something.
taking
This is
an
actual
existing,
joke.
like
I'll give
all
you an
I did
example.
was
These are actual jokes when I heard when I was back in the 60s growing up. This is an actual joke. Can you imagine if I went out and I said, hey, it's like a joke where they said, how come black people got killed in Vietnam so much? Because whenever they said get down, they started dancing. Huh? That was marvelous, wasn't it?
That was like the joke
That's
was like
a
the
great
joke that they would say when they were complaining about, Obama not giving them vouchers. But look, anyways, if that's a problem, I'm not going to be on the Fed.
It's like,
I mean, it's like-
it's marvelous. And he's like, it's marvelous. I think it's marvelous.
But like, is anybody surprised? Like, does anyone think he's like impugning the good name of the Heritage Foundation by associating it with racism? Like,
no.
that's pretty much on the surface.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true.
How about those Southern Democrats who had to explain why they were doing blackface? That's never going to come up in my life. Why was I in high school? I'll explain why I was in blackface because I did a good backwards moonwalk. I mean, it really is literally unbelievable that these people are still alive. This racist.
You know what? We played The Birth of a Nation at family night, film night on a Friday night. It was just a film. We were all cheering.
Even Gone with the Wind. When I was watching Gone with the Wind as a kid, I was like, is this okay? This doesn't look good.
You know what I like? The
This
one thing
seems
I
a
will
little
say.
racist, this movie.
Could you imagine being though like he's the one dude, like everybody else can just do whatever they want, and he's like they're like, no, you're too incompetent. Nope.
Well,
nope.
Herman Cain is also like that. I mean, the fascinating thing is that they use the excuse of things like sexism and racism to take him down so that they're not blamed for and Joni Ernst was one of the big ones who was worried about the sort of misogyny because she's running for re-election in Iowa and she's a little bit nervous. These are like the purplish states where you see the senators get a little bit nervous and they can't afford to lose those states. Now, the fact is though, they did not want Stephen Moore because he's an idiot. And
wait, are you saying these people don't care about racism and sexism?
They don't, but they do like it when they can use it and get some
as a weapon,
bonus
right?
points. They get some bonus points for seemingly doing the right thing when in fact they're simply doing it because they don't have the guts to go after to buck Trump on just sort of something that they know people don't care about. In other words, there's not enough sophistication and the left has failed at this, broadly, the Democrats in particular. Stephen Moore should have there should be enough knowledge out there about this guy's economic policies that would have immediately excluded him on day one. That you wouldn't need to go to the fact that he's an out-and-out racist hack and misogynist hack to sink him. But they would have lost that fight because there hasn't been enough. People just don't pay attention to that enough.
Well, because think in the old days about Reagan when we thought it was like We thought it was horrible. We actually thought it was horrible that Reagan was putting in people in charge of all these departments who actually wanted to dismantle them, right?
Right.
Like the guy who was the head of the Interior, I think it was Watt,
Yeah,
whatever.
James Watt.
I mean, that's like a joke. It's like a joke. Like maybe Orwell was right, I guess, if the Department of Justice is headed by Bill Barr. I mean, I guess it's so astounding.
Why
that
can't black people
it makes you
swim?
paralyzed.
Yeah.
Why can't black people
And
swim?
P.S.,
It's
I would-
because of the extra bone in their ankle. And that was a joke that the black people told me because they were angry that the Democrats, who were mainly black, wouldn't give them money for their own religious schools. And that's about all I have to say about that today.
That was charming, the welfare queens riding Cadillacs. Wasn't that charming
The
compared
welfare
to
queens.
complete
The
Nazism?
joke that I heard was from the welfare queens who were angry that the black leaders were giving them welfare
Right.
instead of Catholic schools.
I was around with a bunch of black pimps, and they all told me this story, and we all laughed, and it was a great time for us all to come together. That's why I repeat that joke.
His name was Slim Shiny, and his joke was that the Democrats didn't want them to have more entrepreneurial schools,
That's right.
which upset him and the woman who worked for him so greatly. And that's why I
Well-
said they had an extra ankle bone. It was their joke. No more questions.
And
Thank
they
you,
would
everybody.
say, they would say to me, if we gave them a tax cut, they would pass it along to their Johns. And that's why you've got to have supply side.
And then they can go to the chicken shop and buy more things. And that's what they said. Anyways, as for cocaine
Let me do my joke
trafficking,
about the
I know
bombs
nothing.
falling again.
Please refer to Bill Barr.